week in racing. It's time to recap it. And who better to do it than Michael and Magic? Two bros/pros who cover the highs and lows of racing around the globe on every one of their shows. Real fans look forward to these guys and their last dance, cause they know they're not talking out of their royal ascot. What they say makes sense. So ladies and gents, sit back and relax as Blinkers Off presents The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.
What's up, everybody? I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
And this is the Magic Mike Show. We're back for the golden hour. We said we'd be here. Mr. Samich, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. I like this. This is going to be fun. I mean, we do these 50-cent sequences all the time, and they're fun to go over, but you really don't have to limit yourself on the horses you absolutely want to use. Like a lot of times it's like, okay, I can go 4 or 5 deep here or 6 or 7 deep here, whatever it is. The all buttons in play. Man, with this golden hour, like you got to take a stand or you're cutting some horses you don't want to cut. And I ended up going with the cutting the horses I don't want to cut versus taking a stand because I wanted to include a price in here. And so it really forces you to make some decisions. And I think that's one of the reasons we've seen such great payouts in this thing. Like you got to really take stands.
Oh yeah, I'm 100% with you. I thought that this sequence was very. There were a couple legs where I'm like, God, this dollar denomination is what's going to make this. It's going to make or break it here, and that's what's great about it, right? Like you've got the low 15% takeout with the golden hour, which we love. They hit for what was it, $35,000, 2 winning tickets for it just this past weekend, and we talked about on our last show that if you had just done a win parlay, you would have netted about $3,200. So you can see there's a huge gap there. And a lot of that's because of the takeout and the dollar denomination. But man, a couple of these races were tough. And I'm like you, there were a couple of races where I feel like I'm growing as a handicapper because old me would have just said, we're taking a stand right here. Like this is where we're going to single here. And usually one of those doesn't pay out. And I went too deep and you did the same thing. I saw your picks. We're going too deep in a couple of spots. Just, we each have a strong favorite that we like, but then we're trying to, there's probably going to be some value there. And if you can get one of those long shots in there, man, this thing is going to be another, I wouldn't say 35,000, but this one's going to pay pretty nice too.
Yeah. This is like a CrossFit workout for your handicapping skills. I mean, when you look at it, you're going from, going a mile on synthetic and optional 25 non-winners of 1 and a 12,500 non-winners of 2 at Golden Gate. And at Santa Anita, we got a grade 3 on a mile or going a mile on the turf. And then we're going 6.5 furlongs in maiden claiming. And we're looking at 4 completely different styles of horse racing with different levels, different ages, everything. So you really got to be able to get home multiple winners at multiple levels, which can be one of the toughest things to do when you're talking about handicapping.
Well, and I hated the two that there's no get out, like the way they set this up. You can't just do like they have the golden hour, which originally started as a daily double. So the last race at Golden Gate, the last race at Santa Anita, they ended up changing that around to now those are the 2 hardest races of the sequence. So I can't even just, if I lose the pick 4 with one of the first 2 legs, I can't double back for that $5 denomination because it's going to be more expensive than this ticket's going to be.
Yeah, me too. I'm 4x4 in those last 2 legs. So that's an expensive $5 daily double.
Yeah, this is going to be no kidding, boy. And then that's the time when it's going to go chalk, and then you won't even get your money back. But yeah, we're looking at the Golden Gate, or I said the Golden Hour pick 4, which is Golden Gate and San Diego. Before we get into it, Mike, what's the best thing you saw this week?
Well, I sent this to the text chain. I thoroughly enjoyed this thing. So on Barstool Sports, someone sent all the NFL quarterbacks through the fat machine. So they made them all look overweight in this thing. And it is hilarious to see the differences and the similarities. Like Ben Roethlisberger pretty much just looks the same. Andy Reid at the end, they send the coaches through it too, pretty much looks the same. Russell Wilson looks hilarious. Like it's really funny when you see Russell Wilson's. There's a couple and they just like crack me up. I love it when you kind of see these random things that show up on the internet and social media that kind of win. There was another good one from the game on Tuesday night where it was Derrick Henry stiff arming the Bills player, but they put different images over his head. And so it was like, McDonald's stiff arming the slushy machine or the I can't think of it now. The ice cream machine because they got rid of ice cream, and it was 2020 stiff arming 2019 because it's going to get out of its way. All these different things. I love the internet and these type of memes. I can get lost in them forever. But yeah, look up Fat Quarterback and Barstool. It's a quite an enjoyable 5-minute read. Yeah,
and it was really great. And the first one I saw was Ben Roethlisberger, and I was waiting for them to be like, here's the before and here's the after. And it's like, nope. No, that's the after, but is it really? And then after that, the second one was Matthew Stafford, and so I'm a Steelers and a Lions fan. So the two fattest quarterbacks in the league, you're going to lead off with those, and they're both on my team. Stafford just looked like he'd been through the ringer a couple of times. So I'd say give him about 10 years of retirement in the Brett Favre lifestyle, and that is what Matt Stafford's going to look like.
Gardner Minshew, man, looked like that uncle at Christmas who's fitting into the jersey that he shouldn't wear. Like he had, because he's got the stash going. He looks like 20 years older and just overweight. So the Minshew one's pretty good. It's enjoyable, man. It's a good laugh. It's worth the 5 minutes.
After the show is done, because if you're watching us live, I don't want you to click off. So after the show is done, just do that. Or if you're watching on like a computer or on your phone, pick a different device and look it up while we're talking, because it's really great. Best thing that I saw, I learned how to make homemade Butterfingers. Butterfingers are one of my favorite candy bars, and I learned how to make it. And it's not like I didn't get the exact consistency. I don't know if I can, because they have like some weird machine that like layers it, really thin. Kind of like with phyllo dough, where there's lots of air and it's very crispy. So it didn't get that full like Butterfinger snap, but it's 3 ingredients: melting chocolate, a cup of peanut butter, and a cup of candy corn. That's it. And you make homemade Butterfingers with it. And it sounds like a weird combination. Dude, let me tell you, this thing works. And I also didn't realize just how much I enjoyed it until I was telling my mother about it yesterday on the phone. And my wife very nicely chimed in and reminded my mom that she got to have one candy bar from the whole batch that I made.
You want my hottest take ever on this show?
Yeah.
Peanut butter is one of the most overrated foods in the world.
Oh, that's it. We're done. that is its own food category for me.
Now you want it to get hotter? I'm allergic to peanut butter. I can't even eat it. So for literally 40 years of, I'm not 40 years old, 35 years of my life, I couldn't touch this stuff. I heard that it was just so ridiculous, so incredible, so amazing. Then I had someone tell me that almond butter and peanut butter tasted really similar. I try almond butter, and I'm like, no. This isn't even close. This is like, it's so far overrated that it's not even funny. Like for someone to be that, like, I literally was like, I just want to try peanut butter for like 30 years. Couldn't do it. Tried it one time. I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is blah. Like, whatever. I can name 100 things that taste better than peanut butter. Ketchup, by the way, close second, is most overrated food in the world.
I'll agree with you on ketchup. I had so much ketchup. That's the only thing I could eat, like condiment-wise or sauce-wise when I was a little kid. No mustard, no barbecue, no mayonnaise, like nothing. It was just ketchup. I think I had so much ketchup as a kid that I just got so sick of it. I've never been a ketchup and French fries person. John Farrell is going to be blocked from the Magic Mike show in the future because he agrees with you that peanut butter is overrated. I can't believe that. We agree on so many things, and then one of the most important things in my entire life, you are taking a stance against. I guess if you're allergic, that would make more sense.
Peanut butter tries to kill me. It's like its goal in life. Peanut butter's goal in life is to kill me. That's the whole thing it sets out to do. So I naturally have I'm a little fearful of it, but I also have a passionate hate for it. So then to actually try it and for it not to be incredible was the one of the like top 5 letdowns in my life. I couldn't believe it. It was unreal.
That would be disappointing. I'm sorry that happened to you. What a sad that means no pra-ram. Like I made chicken pra-ram the other night, which is my favorite Thai food, and that's peanut sauce with carrots, spinach, and chicken, and that's it. Like it sounds like something that 21-year-old Magic was high at 3 a.m. in college and was like, I'm gonna put all these things together and it's gonna be delicious. And that's an actual like Thai dish.
Yeah, Thai food, not a big thing I do.
Lots of peanuts.
Not something I try often. Chick-fil-A also, by the way, anyone allergic to peanuts, they use peanut oil on all their sandwiches. So don't go to Chick-fil-A if you're allergic to peanuts.
I once said there was in my younger days, I found out that just how serious peanut allergies can be because I had a peanut butter sandwich for lunch, dinner, whatever it was. And then I had a female friend come over and found out the next day that she left my place and promptly went to the emergency room because she was allergic to peanuts.
So how old was she?
Like 21, 22.
So she held out at your place. Was the I've always wondered, like, was it awkward when she left? Like, did she kind of run out the door and you were like, what the hell happened? Like, where did this go?
Nothing. I didn't realize anything was wrong. Like there were no like it must have been like a deep setting. Like also like I'm a gentleman, I brushed my teeth with Listerine before, but I found out the next day. I just texted. She's like, oh yeah, I had to go to the hospital. I was like, why? She's like, well, I must have had something that had peanuts in it because I'm allergic to it. And I was just like, yeah, that sucks. Hope you're doing okay.
Something with peanuts in it. Anyway,
Aaron wants to know if I like the Del Mar Press Box ice cream.
Yeah.
I am
So
lactose intolerant, and we'll leave it at that. And we'll just leave it at that, and move on to the show, because on today's show we're looking at the Golden Hour late pick 4 sequence for Saturday between Golden Gate and San Anita. Let's get into it, Mike. Riders up. All right. If you guys are watching live for the replay, I'm going to do my best to produce this. I can't, because it's all over the place. It's going to be a little difficult. So just, I think I have this set up, but just bear with me.
are you trying to get fancy?
I'm trying. Well, because people are like, "Oh wow, I like the production stuff," and now I've raised my own bar stupidly. So now I have to keep meeting or exceeding that. So
I am all for this. I've worked very hard on the production levels, and I'm happy that everything I've done has improved them.
All right, we'll go in 3, 2. All right, kicking things off for the Golden Hour late pick 4 sequence on Saturday, October 17th. We're going to go to Golden Gate Fields first. Race 8 on their card. You have a field of 10 males, 4 and up, going a mile on the synthetic track. This is an optional claimer, $25,000 tag, which is all but 2 of the runners in this field. They're going a mile on the synthetic. Favoritism is on the number 5 Arch Prince at 2-1. The number 9 Premium Forest is 5-2. Low odds, very outside draw. Fun fact, Mike, the 4 River Rose and the 7 Many Roses, full brothers facing each other. Didn't use either one of them. Don't want anything to do with either one of them. Do you?
No, I'm going to let that family just continue to wallow in mediocrity. 5 and 7-year-old brothers going at it. That would be a problem in most households, but this one, won't be too bad.
My question: I want to know who's going to be speed and quit first out of those two, because they both do the same thing.
Oh, well. It's funny. It shows that breeding works, right? Yeah. So I'm going to go to the 5 here on top. I think that you kind of have to. I don't really want to. The last thing I want to do is start out at a $1 denomination and go too deep here and use the favorite. But I think the 5 has to be on tickets. Arch Prince comes out of a race at 62 optional non-winners of 2. Clearly the best level of anyone coming out of this race, dropping down to the 25 level, in for the tag here, obviously. So being in for 25, best buyers, very good at Golden Gate, has good 4 for 10 overall, 5 for 12 at the distance. Trainers 21%, jocks 15. Together they're 19. Second off the layoff, 28% for the trainer. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you like the 5 Arch Prince here. This to me was the most likely single in the sequence. If you want to get crazy, you could start single, but I think Arch Prince is kind of the most logical on top. Because I like Arch Prince so much, I'm not going to use the 9. Are you going to use both the 5 and the 9, or are you going to leave one of them off?
I am. I did this before I saw the morning lines, and I saw them come out, and I was like, God damn, I knew it was going to be. I knew one of those two was going to be the favorite, and the other would be right there. There weren't many long shots that I liked that much, but I know you do.
Well, luckily, I got something for you right here.
Okay,
you know what that is? It's a piece of chalk, just so you know, just so you can eat it later.
I'll just let you know that looks like something very different on the live stream. I'm really not sure what you were just waving at me there, but it's
the eat it joke is not so good, right? Yeah, I mean, I couldn't get myself to be into the 9. Like at 5-2, especially compared to the 5 at 2-1. I couldn't get behind it. Yeah, this horse has back numbers that fit, but I didn't like the last out. Was a heavy favorite over the horse right to its outside. Harvest Storm was able to just get up, but I mean, yes, this horse can win. Yes, this horse is 8 for 16 at Golden Gate, but I do think the 5 is better, and I just didn't want to include both of these two. This was my 3rd horse on the list, so it's not like I would completely ignore this horse if you want to go deeper here. But for me, I thought the 6 was interesting at a price. You get 12-1 here. You're getting a massive jockey upgrade, which is one of the main reasons why I was going in this direction. You're going from a Bug and Rivera to
Billy Anton Georgie the third. I got
Billy Anton Georgie the third. And you're also getting a drop in class here. I mean, we're going from 41,000 non-winners of 1, dropping down here to the $25,000 non-winners of 1. Only one of 2 horses not in for the tag. I like the fact this horse isn't in for the tag. And look, I like it when horses go up north. I like that Santa Anita up to Golden Gate move. This horse was in the Baffert barn down in Santa Anita, ran some larger stakes spread company stakes races, was able to get home in one of those stakes spread company stakes races, goes up to Golden Gate, tries the turf once, goes over to the synthetic. Now we're going 3rd off the layoff, 2nd time over the Golden Gate synthetic. I think there's enough here that this horse can be really interesting, especially going with the mile distance, which it shouldn't have any issue with. Like, I don't see this mile as being a problem. We're going 2 sprints the route, which is an angle I like. I like the last work, 47 out of the gate, a bullet work, 1 of 18. I think the 6 at 12-1 is a good way to start the sequence out.
I looked at the 6. I tried to make it work. My issue is I've because this horse was doing really well at San Diego when he started. He won four of his first five starts. Three of those were state-bred stakes, like you talked about. He looked great down there as a 3-year-old in 2018. Then Baffert struggled to keep him healthy. He didn't really race much at age 4, gets rid of him after he makes one start at age 5. And I watched those replays because I wanted to see, is this the old Heck Yeah, or is this the new one? And he just doesn't look like the same horse. But you bring up great points about it. And like I said, I did want to try and use him, especially when I saw that he was 12-1. I went back and looked again. I was like, can I get rid of one of these 2 chalk horses that I'm using? And I just couldn't fit him in. But I laughed when you said this is major jockey, massive jockey upgrade, because I, in all caps, major jockey upgrade, wrote it all over his form here. Nothing against the bug, but you know, with Juan Hernandez and Ricky Gonzalez down south, this is the best jockey in the colony right here. So,
well, and that's the thing. If you assume that there's an improvement here, third off, and that if Anton Georgie takes the mount, and that like, there's a lot of reasons why this horse can take a step forward. And if this horse takes any type of step forward, it's a logical horse here, and at 12-1, I think it makes a ton of sense. And again, I like the fact that they protected it, so I think that it's got a legit shot at making some noise here. And you know, even if you don't want to use it on your ticket, maybe it's a spot where you single the 5 and you play the 5-6 exacta, or the 5 with 6-9 keyed exacta, or try something like that. Because I don't see any. Like I like the 6 quite a bit. It's why I'm not singling the 5 here, and so I don't see any way where the 6 doesn't at least make some noise in this spot.
To touch on the 5 real quick, I liked him, obviously. We talked about that. Martinez is going to be aboard for the 11th time. 4 wins, 4 seconds, 2/3. Never missed the board when Martinez has been on. This horse has been first or second in 5 of his 8 starts this year, while largely facing better. I mean, you know, the worst finish he had was 5th in the San Francisco Mile, and that's a grade 3 race. That's the biggest race that Golden Gate has all year. So I'm not going to knock him for that. I thought that he's a very logical play. You just have to, you're going to hate the price. Yeah. I almost didn't use Premium Forest because he's got that far outside draw that I talked about, but at second off of the layoff, and the fact that he won first off the layoff for Tomeo, who's one, he and Jonathan Wong are 2 of the biggest high percentage trainers up at Golden Gate. They do very well, you know, sprint, route, turf, synthetic. So this is now second off the layoff. He won at this level last out. This horse just likes to win, man. 14 wins from 29 starts. You can look at the fact that he's won 5 of his past 6 races. The only time that he lost, it was in the All-American Stakes. The horse that won that, Restrained Vengeance, has won additional stakes races since then. So there's plenty of class here. And it's just a horse that loves to win at Golden Gate. And if it's on the turf, it's on synthetic. If he's going, you know, I had to use him, but I think if you were trying to play one of the 2, I would feel more confident in the 5, like you are. This outside draw is really what I don't like for the 9 horse.
Yeah, the 9 also draws, like we always talk about how, like, you know, if a horse is within a nose or half length, I often start using the other horse that's there. And that really draws a lot of horses in if you are using Premium Forest, because the 10 horse Harvest of Storm was only a half length back of Premium Forest last time. So then all of a sudden you're using both the 9 and the 10. And if you use the 9 and the 10, well, Many Roses only missed or beat Harvest Storm 2 back. So then you're including the 7. And if you look at the 7, all of a sudden it's just the snowball where our sprint is like, and I don't really want to include all these horses that have been running against each other, because like Angelo's Pride, the 3 has running lines all over the place with these horses. So if I'm avoiding all of these other horses, I'd rather not use the horse that's probably the best of them, but going to be the shortest price too. I'd rather take the horse that, in this case, almost the 2 new shooters here in Arch Prince and Heck Yeah, and just say they're better than everyone else who's been running at this level at Golden Gate.
One last fun fact about Premium Forest, and we'll move on. It's at the bottom of my page here. His record since he was claimed, this is his 3rd barn, just same ownership, but being moved around. But since being claimed March 1st, 2019, 15 starts, 10 wins, 3 seconds and a third. If that's not a good return off of a claim, I don't know what is. That's pretty, even at Golden Gate, that's really damn good.
Yeah, that does not suck.
We'll move on to the second leg of the Golden Hour late pick 4 sequence. On Saturday, October 17th, we're going to go down south to Santa Anita for race 9 on the card. This is the grade 3 $100,000 Autumn Miss Stakes. Field of 7 3-year-old fillies going a mile on the turf course. Worked so well with the production standpoint here. Favoritism is going to be on Warren Showtime, the 5 horse, at 9-5. This is a multiple stakes winner as a 3-year-old. Crow Evoke, I had got a feeling, I forgot already who you're using here, but you've got to be using Crow Evoke because that horse sucks you in every time. She's 7-2 second choice. Nasty and Geedy both at 4-1. Who's your top pick?
Top pick, I got to go with Warren Showtime here. And this is, again, like not the horse I want to take. But it is the right horse to take in this spot. I mean, look, this horse has the most most talent on the page right now. Has been running against better. I mean, obviously Inside and Geedy is a horse that we're going to talk about, I'm sure, at some point. But Laura's Light, Red Lark, California Crook, all very good horses. I picked this horse. I think it was in actually that Geedy race where Laura's Light won. I just like this horse. I think she's really good. And one of the things that we're going to talk about, I'm going to actually mention this once in both of the Santa Anita races. So I think it's important to note it. You talk about this all the time. Santa Anita and Del Mar were the same circuit. They're very different tracks. Some horses take to one and don't take to the other. I'm kind of creating this mantra in my mind, this storyline that Warren Showtime likes Santa Anita more than Del Mar. And that one of the reasons why she didn't run as well the last two races was because those were down at Del Mar and not at Santa Anita, where she fired that 88. If she goes back to that, she's clearly the class of this field. I like her quite a bit in this spot. I like someone else quite a bit in this spot again, who's a little bit of a price, and that's the reason I'm not going to single Warren Showtime. And it's not the 7, spoiler alert, who I think has no chance to win this race.
After I said it, I was like, "Oh, that's right, he used that horse." But I thought for sure Crove Oak was going to be your top pick. I feel like you got suckered in a lot, dude. Warren Showtime 3 wins, 4 starts at Santa Anita. The one time she finished 3rd, it was the Franz Valentine when she got the 88 buyer that you talked about. She was facing older horses, Setamar and Super Patriot both beat her. Both older horses, Super Patriot's 5, so that wasn't very fair, and she still got 3rd in that race. This horse loves Santa Anita. She's so fun. This is one of my favorite horses in training right now, and you didn't even bring up the fact she's getting Flavien Prat for the first time. I don't know where Mike Smith's at, but screw it. Prat's jumping aboard. I mean, hell yeah. Let's ride. This was almost my most logical single, but like you, I have one horse that I like a little bit too much to keep me from singling her.
I mean, you could start out. I could be talked into on Saturday, starting out with a 5-5 single, and then like do a $5 ticket, and I'm going too deep in the last 2 legs, something like that. Because I do think that the both 5s in the first 2 legs are standouts. I just like prices around them, and so if we can beat one of the 2 with a price, that's great. If we beat them both, it's huge, and then we're 4x4 going into the last 2 legs, and that's why I'm constructing the ticket the way that I am.
And you're looking at maybe not 35,000, but you're looking at a hell of a lot nicer payday than when we did this a few weeks ago, and I think it paid like 100 and change. So.
I'll take the over on 100. Yeah,
yeah, definitely when we get to that. But also one last point about Warren Showtime. She was 3rd in the Del Mar Oaks. It was a 1 1/8. She had the lead, and she kind of got swallowed up a little bit late. She's cutting back in distance. The Red Lark won, California Kook 2nd. They were 4th and 5th in the Queen Elizabeth II Challenge Cup Stakes, which is a grade 1 that was at Keeneland. So for California horses that are 3 years old to go to Keeneland and do that in a grade 1, I thought that was pretty impressive. But it's enough about her. We obviously both love her. So here's what's interesting. You and I both like horses that are owned by the same group, but you're going with a different one. You're going with the horse on the rail, Mind Out. Why?
Yeah, I mean, this isn't fair because now I have to figure out who you took. Anyway, so I'm going to go with Mind Out because I think Mind Out is getting back to what Mind Out is good at. I don't think Mind Out wants to go 5.5 on the turf. And I think that race, when you look at it, was ultra impressive going 5.5. I mean, we've talked about Bulletproof One, who is like, you have a legit crush on this horse. We've talked about her so much on this, and we both singled her to start out the Santa Anita meet. She went gate to wire in a lightning quick fashion. Santa Anita's turf track, playing the speed. And look at Mind Out. Get a couple lengths in there late, closing, actually becoming relevant toward the race. And not a lot of horses were doing that. There wasn't much running happening late on that day. So I'm going to give Mind Out the benefit of the doubt and the fact that she wants to go 2 turns. Don't love that we lose Pratt, but let's be honest. Warren Showtime is probably the better horse, right? So I don't think losing Mind Out here is that big of a deal. She faced these horses, or losing Pratt is that big of a deal. She faced these horses at Santa Anita on October 6th and was 3/4 of a length behind Warren Showtime. I think she's improved since then. Obviously, Warren Showtime has too. But if we look at that 84 buyer, we say a mile is a better distance, and she takes a step forward off it. How can she fits? She makes sense here. She's going to have the pace to run into. She's got a little bit more early get up than you necessarily expect because she's coming out of that 5.5 furlong race. So if she's mid-pack to closer to the lead, and then she's able to kind of get first run and swing into the clear, she's going to be coming right after Warren Showtime late. And if she can get by, you get a nice 6-1 price or 8-1 price that I actually think is going to float up on the day of the race.
Mm-hmm. And plus, she's an $850,000 daughter of Tappet. That's going good in her angle. Drayden Van Dyke isn't Pratt and he's not Juan Hernandez, who are the top 2 riders at this current meet right now, but he's pretty damn good, especially with Callahan. That 21% with a really nice ROI in the last 2 years doesn't hurt. Her buyers have almost improved every single race. She had 76 to a 75, but still, for me it was, I don't think she's as good of a closer as Warren Showtime, and I didn't want to have 2 just like I don't want to call them stone cold closures, but horses can be coming from way off, which is why I went with the Ellen J. Foxwood owned number 3, Nasty. This is a horse who she was very highly touted. I'd heard a lot about her before she would even debuted. Dirt wasn't her thing. Sprinting wasn't her thing. They put her on firm turf at Indiana Grand, much less circuit, but she wins by 8 lengths to break her maiden, and then she wins again easily in the next one. The Indiana Grand Stakes, it was a very yielding course. A lot of horses that like firm turf were really struggling that day. I feel like we've talked about, or at least covered, a lot of horses that were in that race. So she gets away from the yielding turf. I'm willing to forgive her for that. Now she comes out west. Brad Cox hands over the training duties of Richie Baltus, so you know she was in good hands and with a very capable trainer before. And he's putting Ricky Gonzalez in the saddle, which I find interesting. Ricky is a very strong front-running rider, and so that tells me that they're hoping to get the kind of trip that she had in her 2 wins at Indiana Grand on the turf, which is just sit right off of the pace, which I think is probably going to be the 2 quiet secretary. Yep. Just sit right off of her and try and get that first jump. And if I can get that horse getting the first jump and she's strong enough that when she gets on the lead in the stretch, she seems like she can get kind of brave. I want her to see if she can hold off Warren Showtime, who I expect to be leading the cavalry from the back, along with the 1 Mind Out.
Yeah. I mean, this is a huge
argument was that good that you just kind of
This is a huge step up in class, and that's the main knock on her, and the main reason I didn't use her. Like she is really. You talked about the form. The only race where she faced anyone close to this would be that last race where she faded. And yes, it was on yielding turf, and there's a legit built-in excuse there. But she's going to need to take a major step forward, even off of that performance 2 back. 32,500 non-winners or 2 is not exactly a high class at Indiana. She's going a mile and 16th instead of a mile. And she really sat a nice trip on a turf course again. That if you get close to the lead, you're going to be able to open up, and no one's really going to catch you at Indiana. You don't see horses flying from the back there all that often. So I'm a lot more hesitant to use her, especially at 4-1, especially if you think she's going to get bet down at all. And she's also coming from the Cox barn, which is a concern for me. Baltus obviously very good on turf, but Cox is firing at 24%. He owns Indiana. So it's for him to be sending this horse out here, and then this horse is taking a step up in class, just there's enough red flags there for me to want to leave off the 3. I also don't love that Baltus has the 6 in here too and going to Vegas. I was kind of surprised that you have 2 in here when it's these 2. So for me, there's enough red flags to kind of leave the 3 off. Neither of us using the 4. What led you away from the 4 horse here?
Well, you brought it up earlier, Mike. There's some horses that love Del Mar and some horses that do better at Santa Anita, and this horse has not done better than 5th at Santa Anita in 3 tries. I love Leonard Powell as a trainer. Juan Hernandez, I mentioned, is right behind Flavian Pratt in the jockey standings right now. Actually, this says he's tied right now. Wow, must have closed that up on Sunday. She's taken a huge class drop because not only was she in the Del Mar Derby, which is grade 2, she was facing the boys. So the fact that she got 9th, I mean, she was closing against the boys, which is fine. She's cutting back to a mile, which is where both of her wins have come. I really just don't think that she likes Santa Anita. That's what I'm going to get. Plus, I don't like her as much as some of the other ones, but it's the Santa Anita angle.
Yeah, I'm hoping she takes money. I'm hoping both she and the 7 take money here, and that we can get a little bit of value outside of them, even on Warren Showtime, because I do think that the 4 and the 7 are kind of up against it in this spot.
Yeah, and Crow of Oak is coming off of a win. She finally got her first North American win last time out. It was an optional claim race at Del Mar. So, I'm with you. I'm hoping she takes my Umberto Rispoli is aboard. If this horse knocks us both out, we're going to be pissed, but we're not going to. Well, yeah. But I think this horse definitely gets bet down. I think Warren Showtime goes below 9-5. I think Crow of Oak's closer to 2-1, 5-2 in that range. What about you?
Yeah, I think Warren Showtime ends up going off around 3-2 here, somewhere in that range. I don't think there's going to be a ton of value on the horse because I do think it's logically the most likely winner on paper. I do think Crow of Oak is going to take some money. I think Gutty is going to take some money too. So I'm thinking if Nasty, you might get a decent price on that horse, to be honest. Like I would be surprised if it doesn't float up from that 4-1 number.
Just kind of hoping that Crow of Oak has the last out win over, on the circuit. People are going to like, well, this horse hasn't been, Nasty hasn't raced since August. But hey, we'll find out what happens. Moving on, we'll look at the 3rd leg of the Golden Hour Late Pick 4 sequence on Saturday, October 17th. Going back up north to Golden Gate Fields, race 9 on their card. Field of 10 geldings, 3 and up, who have never won twice in their lifetime. Going 6 furlongs on the synthetic track, and favoritism is on the number 2 Eskimo Roses. Mike, this shows you just how wide open this race is from a betting standpoint because your favorite is 4-1. You've got Violent Behavior at 9-2, Tom Surprise at 5-1. This is you definitely get some value in this race, if nothing else.
Yeah, this race is a mess, man. And this is why it's such a. We're going from a grade 3 going a mile on the turf for 3-year-olds to just a train wreck of a claiming race at Golden Gate. Look, I like Coil to Strike on top, the 6-horse. Coming out of the steep spec barn, you got Alvarado up, good connections there. To me, it's the second off this layoff that I think is kind of a sneaky long layoff. When people look at it, it says 2020, but it was January to September. I mean, that is a long layoff for Coil to Strike. And this horse is running buyers that fit very well inside of this group. If you look back at what it's done since coming to this 12-5 level, the buyers at 65, 59, and 68 are all toward the higher end of this group. It's got higher buyers back. If we can improve second off the layoff here, I think this horse fits very, very well. I think the trip should be pretty good. And I'm just hoping that we can get a nice step forward here from the 5-year-old son of Coil, who's one of my favorite kind of California sires here too. Other must-use for me is the 2-horse. Eskimo Roses just makes sense because of the speed play. When you're at Golden Gate, you want to have that horse on the inside speed. I think Eskimo Roses is clearly the inside speed for Shelby Ruiz here. Edward Roman takes the ride, and this horse has been running against better down south. Also done well on the turf. That turf to synthetic switch over is something I look for often. So I think the 2 is the correct favorite. I think the 2 is going to get bet when it comes to the day of. I'm going to like to take the 6 on top, but I would use the 2 and the 6 as my top 2 choices.
Didn't use the 6. I'll start by saying this and the next leg, like you said, Mike. These are both mess races for me in the sense that I was like, it really had to think about these ones. So we're going to disagree a lot on these next 2, but I think if especially if you felt bold enough that you were going to single the 5s in each of the first 2 races, if you feel like hitting the all button in one of these legs, like you can make it a lot more affordable for yourself. Singling up early, because I think you could make a case for doing that. I use the 2 defensively. I don't like that this horse just doesn't seem to, it hasn't won since 2018, so it's been over 2 years, but was facing a lot better, keeps dropping in class. And those last 2 efforts at Del Mar this summer, I think if there was a better jockey on that circuit aboard, you could have seen better results from there. I'm not a fan of Asa Espinoza. Evan Roman used to be based down south, has moved up north, and you can see from the percentages and the win totals, he's doing pretty well up there. The one concern I have here, this horse has had blinkers on in the past before, twice. It worked pretty well when he was 2, but I don't know as a older horse that it's worked out. That he's over 5 wearing blinkers. I'm just not. That makes me a little cautious. I feel like Shelby Ruiz she's playing with a lot of different aspects of this horse, trying to figure out what makes him click, which is a smart move from a trainer. But I feel like this horse, I don't have a lot of confidence in him, and especially at 4-1, it's a defensive play because of the back class. But I don't feel good about this one, and neither did you because you went pretty deep.
Yeah, I ended up 4 deep here for a lot of the reasons that you said. I mean, this horse, I think it has to be used, but it's just scary. I think the reason for the blinkers is you want to be the speed at this level. And she wants to put it with like beyond any doubt. Every time this horse is wearing the blinkers, it does go. And so her idea here is we're at the lowest level we've ever been at a short distance. Let's just send and hope. And I think that's, a legit strategy at 12-5 at Golden Gate, right? Like you don't get fired for sending and hoping. That's a pretty good training strategy. So adding the blinkers here, I think does make some sense. And I'm not as concerned about the 0-4 as you may be, simply because of what those levels were. I mean, we're talking about maiden special weight 61K 2-year-old races at Del Mar. I mean, that's a pretty tough condition. And so I'm not as worried about that specific level that the 6 was wearing blinkers. I think there are quite a few other interesting horses here. I mean, the 7 Tom Surprise is one I'm going to use.
Yeah.
This one, was that a good yeah or a bad yeah?
That's a good yeah. This is my top pick. I went too deep. This is my top pick.
All right, you go first then. You talk.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I just got excited because we agreed on this one. That's all.
I get excited when we disagree.
That's true. I think this horse is interesting on his form. He took that he made 2 starts this year, took a little break, came back and seemed better because he took that big class drop down to the maiden 12-5 level. Wins easily with Orozco aboard. Goes up to the $50,000 starter allowance. Doesn't do as well, but those are a lot higher level horses. Sherry Monroe is having a very good meet so far, 5 wins from 26 starts. With Orozco aboard, they're 12%, 14% this meet. It's not super high, but it is good enough for me to want to take a shot here. I just thought that when he ran 6 furlongs in for a 12-5 tag as a maiden, I thought he looked really good in his replay. I didn't watch that too many, but I thought that replay was as good as what anybody else has got in here. And at 5-1, I mean, I was surprised. I thought he would be the favorite, or I mean, he's 5-1, 4-1, but this is definitely my top pick right here.
Yeah, to me, the biggest thing is the class jump after breaking the maiden at 12-5. up to $50,000 allowance. Now we're going down to 12.5 claiming, which is the legit spot that this horse fits in. And not just that, look at the fractions in those two races. So he wins at 22-2, 45, 57-1 in a stalking trip where he's able to circle the field and get the job done at 6 furlongs. If you look at that 5.5 furlongs, he's chasing the pace about the same distance behind the lead, 21, 44-1, 56-2, almost a second faster at every single call. That's why he faded there, and that's why those horses were too good for him. But we're going back to a level where I don't see anyone going 44 in this field and holding on. Like they would quit very badly if they went 44 in this field. Yes. So I think the 7 is getting back to being with horses that are comparable, and the buyer didn't. It was linear between those two races, 68 in each of them. So I think that's a good sign. Obviously, going back to the jockey that broke the maiden is another good sign. So I think the 7 makes a ton of sense here. I wouldn't knock you at all for having that be your top pick. I'm going to go right outside to Violent Behavior, and I'm going to use the 8 as well. Obviously, Love Me a Son of Violence. And I like the fact that this horse has done really well at Golden Gate. I mean, okay, it's 0 for 8. I get that. That was all in $50,000 allowances. Again, a higher level where the buyers fit and actually even tower over some of the horses that are in this field. We ship up to Emerald Downs. We don't do anything in 2 races. And Frank Luccheri, who's a good trainer up at Emerald Downs, brings this horse back down south to Golden Gate, where this horse has had most of its success. If we run back to the 71, 73, 77, 83, 84, even the 67, we're right in this year. And 9-2 is a nice price. 4-year-old has every chance to improve here. So for me, I'm going to have 4 deep here. I'm going to go with the 2, 6, 7, and 8.
Yeah, 8. I looked at the 8. Didn't make the ticket, obviously, but I'm with you. I think if you forgive the Emerald Downs efforts, not the spot. This horse looked like he got used to the synthetic and wanted to go back to it, and so that's what he got at the level. And I mean, look, you see, Ricky Gonzalez was aboard, missed winning his second race by a neck in that $50,000 start. So if you believe, as you do, that this horse can get back to where he was at the beginning of this year. I mean, this horse is going to make everyone else look pretty bad if he can get back to that form.
Well, if you go back to its Santa Anita form and back in 2019, It was weak. It was worse than the Golden Gate form. I mean, I think you can see a clear pattern where this horse is better on synthetic. And even the turf races are some of the better races back then. So if you're saying that synthetic and turf are similar and that it's better on synthetic than any other surface, which I think is pretty logical when looking at its back races, I mean, if this horse runs back to that, 9-2 is going to seem like a gift.
We'll move on to the 4th and final leg of the Golden Hour Late Pick 4 sequence on Saturday, October 17th. Back down south to Santa Anita Park for race 10 on their card. Field of 10 maiden fillies, ages 3 and 4, going 6.5 furlongs on the dirt track. Favoritism is going to be on the number 2, Saving Sophie at 8-5, and that is the last horse that made my ticket in because I did not like her in this spot very well. But buyer speed figure wise, she fits, so she's making the ticket. I'm going 6 deep. I told you I thought this race was hard and a mess. I'm fully going 6 deep here. Who you got on top?
Yeah, I mean, Saving Sophie is a big old defensive use for me. I'm going to go out to the 9 horse on top. Daddy Tells a Story. This is, I don't know if you watched this replay, but this is one of the replays that I watched. And how often do you see a horse make the lead and then get checked? Like, it was a very odd replay when you go back and watch this. This horse made the lead going against 20,000. And look, it dueled for the first half, first 22 and 3, and then the 47 seconds. The horse in the lead kind of came over on it, got checked. It was a 25 and 27-1 shots. So 2 long shots that were just kind of out there. I think this horse got a ton of experience and learned quite a bit that day. I think it's pretty telling. We're going from 20 to 25. They're actually moving this horse up in class after being by 37 lengths last time out. I like the speed in Fadeagle. I don't really care how much you lose by as long as you're able to show speed first time out. This horse was able to get to the inside rail from that 5 hole. So for me, I think that the 9 makes a ton of sense here, and it's going to be the horse that I'm going to end up using on top. That was my only must use in the race, but I did end up going 4 deep here. Did you end up using the 9? Did you leave it off?
Yep. I like the 9. I fully believe that I think being outside in the 9 post is going to help this horse avoid any kind of similar trouble to that. Because like you said, the leader caused those issues and made the 9 just give up completely. Now we're going outside and we're getting a huge jockey upgrade to Tyler Bays, who has been riding very, very well. He's only 4 for 50 on his mounts, but he's looked very strong in his return back to Santa Anita. So if he keeps him clear out wide, I think, if he keeps her clear out wide, I think she's got a shot. Yeah. So she was born
Showtime. That first race, I should have missed at least like 5. I thought I was going to just call them all men for a while there. I'm proud.
As long as Jackie's Warrior's not in the race, I think we'll both be okay, because that's a hard one for anybody. My must use, my top pick is the 5, Save the Story. Horses at this level, the lower you go, especially, we talk about a lot, Mike, that a lot of times they're pack animals, and so you want the ones that are showing early speed. If they've got the early speed, there's a better chance at this lower level that when they quit, everyone else has already quit. So I'm going with Save the Story, because if you scratch out that the 2020 debut at Del Mar last out, stumbled out of the gate, lost all shot. Ricky Gonzalez didn't push her to really try and get in, realized she didn't have anything, gave up. That's fine. Those 2 races as a 2-year-old last summer, those look pretty good in terms of what this level. She was in maiden special weight. She was showing lots of early speed. She held on and then just kind of lost it once they straightened for home. If everything falls apart, which they do at these levels, it's maiden 25 level, if it falls apart at the top of the stretch and she's in the lead, okay, that's fine. She's going to go off and win. Plus, we're getting the bug jockey Alexis Santino aboard. So 7-pound weight allowance, adding the blinkers with Baltus is a 14% move. I like everything about the 5 here. That's why she is my top pick.
Yeah, blinkers and bug too. It's a combination that I like.
Blinkers and bug, I like that.
Especially when the horse is going to go right to the lead. Again, you see 20 to 25K. And this was the other horse that I thought was a great example of ran a really, really bang-up race at Santa Anita, goes to Del Mar, doesn't run 2 great races, and now we're back at Santa Anita. And if this horse likes Santa Anita, that's going to be a problem, because that 69 buyer is by far the best race anyone has on this page. So if we can see the 5 horse Save the Story go back to that original buyer that it ran first out going 4.5, watch out, because she's going to be dangerous up front.
Yeah, and she would from that second. She was beaten quite a bit by Amalfi Sunrise, who at the time was a pretty highly touted juvenile filly. She was bet down to 6-5 favoritism in her next start. Like, that's how much confidence people had in this horse. Plus, Pratt was saw fit to jump aboard. So
she was in her favorite off the layoff. This horse has got there was still some steam on her next time out. So this horse has gotten some love every single time she's gone to the gate.
Yeah. Let's talk about Saving Sophie real quick, just so we don't have to later on. For me, this is, 10 starts, still a maiden, but 6 times has finished second. She keeps taking class drops. She was in a maiden special weight her first 8 races, then maiden 50, maiden 40. Now she's maiden 25. She's shown the ability and the heart to pass horses at these lower levels, which I think is going to be a very big, impactful point. Her buyers, the 60 last out, if you ignore that, the 69, the 70 before that are the best in this field. They're right there with Save the Story. I just feel like she has a tendency to leave herself with too much to do, so that when she comes off the turn, a lot of these horses are going to quit. But if one of these horses is brave on the lead, I don't think she's got the ability to chase him down. So that's where my concern was with her. What about you?
Yeah, we're getting really close to the career maiden here. These are herd animals. You mentioned it. She likes not being in front. She wants to kind of just sit right behind her friends and run around in a circle and have a good old time and drink a glass of wine. And that's kind of what she's done here for 6 of those 10 starts, where she just doesn't want to pass anyone when it matters. And it's not even like, she's a neck behind or nose behind or head behind. Only 2 of her races, she's finished second by less than a half length. The other, she's been at least 2.5 lengths back. That's not a good thing. That doesn't mean she's not only not passing, she's not even on the rear of the horse. So she's got a lot of work to do to be able to get up past this horse. Now, best buyers clearly fits the mold of a winner here. So I am going to defensively use this horse, because it would really suck if we beat both 5s in the first 2 legs and we're still alive and left this horse off, and that's the reason. So this is going to be a defensive use for me. But I'm intrigued by the 1 on the inside as well. And this is not something I love to do, using the first-time starter on the rail. But let's just face the facts here. This feels kind of weak.
Yeah, you have to make some concessions,
right? There's no world beaters in here, and I'm a fan of Cedillo. Urton's 10% first time out. Flat Out's not a bad first time out sire. This horse has some decent works. Why not at 8-1? That's literally the handicap here. It's if this horse is semi decent, it's got a legit shot at winning this race.
I didn't use her, but like I said before, you could make a case for, especially in this one. I could make.
You didn't use her.
I could make a case for every single one of these horses in this race, every single one of them, because that's how bad I'll tell you what, I'm not going to make a case for the 10, but the other 9 horses, the ones that are on the screen right now, those are the ones I could make a case for. I didn't use the 1, but
against 10s today.
I'm going to use the 3, but Bailatino. I love Hector Palma and S1 Flores as a jockey trainer combination. They're only 13%, but they're a positive ROI, and this is Palma's top rider. And as long as they're not on turf, I try to figure out a way that I can use these guys. Hector Palma's won for, I think, 85 or 86 on turf, something just unbelievably terrible. I don't love the fact that this horse is showing up here for the first start on the West Coast, but maybe they figured she needs a little bit firmer ground. maybe they're hoping that the fact that she's going to be on dirt, she can handle that. I don't really know. He's adding the blinkers. This is a connections play for me. And I'm literally just going in order since I have so many horses here. I can't remember. Did you have the 3 Latino? You did not.
That's a hard pass on the breeding for me. That was my biggest issue with this horse. I mean, Noble Mission out of Galileo, and you've got Indian Haven on the bottom end. Like, this is a turf over turf over turf bred horse. So for this horse to show up 6.5 on the dirt, I'm just like, something's wrong. Like, this is not a good sign.
Yeah. Well, and then that leads into the 4 Magical Smile, who I can't believe is 20-1. I'm getting Juan Hernandez, who's tied with Pratt right now for the lead in the jockey standings. Cliff Sice Jr. has burned me more times than I'd care to admit this year with horses. He's 7 for 28. He's shown me that he's not a one-trick pony. You know, he's got the one. I'm going to forget her name. She's going to be in Keeneland this weekend. But he's got one very sharp filly out in California. But he's actually showing that he's beyond her. He can actually get other horses to show up. I'm going to scratch out the maiden 20 last out. Stumbled very badly at the start. Ruben Fuentes did tell me that he likes this filly, that at this level, she's a good fit. So I'm going to give her another shot. But you're right. These are back-to-back 4-year-old granddaughters of Galileo with plenty of turf on both sides of the pedigree that are in 6.5 furlong dirt race at Santa Anita. So I don't know if maybe the race they both wanted to go in couldn't fill and they showed up here, or if both trainers are going, turf didn't work. Let's see if dirt does.
I can get more behind the 4. I'll give you that. I can leave, like, the connections at least get me a little excited. Into Chocolate and Secret Keeper.
That's right. There's 2 of them. And Into Chocolate's the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
The 2 horses in that barn. But yeah, I can get a little bit more behind this because of that and because of the bad stumble. Like, I can completely draw a line through the last and say, okay, second time in the barn, she's got a good chance to improve. Like, I 20-1. There's worse horses you can play here, like the 3.
Yeah. Let's move on. What's another horse that you used here?
I'm done, man. I went 4 deep, 1, 2, 5, 9. So this is the magic show now.
Oh, geez. Oh, this is where things go off the rail. I used the 6. I was a little surprised you didn't. Princess Tail. Forgive that first effort. Again, Espinoza was aboard. Scratch it out. Not worried about that. Horse was betting 93-1. And this was before Mark Glatt came back from COVID and was just winning with everything. Even the goats in his barn were winning races. But Umberto Rispoli is going to get aboard. Remember about a year ago or 6 months ago, there was this issue where Glatt and Flavian Pratt had a really weird low percentage where it's like great rider, great trainer, and they weren't mixing. And then COVID happened and now they're winning together all the time. I'm going to take a flyer and hope that maybe that's what happens here with Princess Tail, where Rispoli is great, Glatt's great. They're 9% together, but hey, let's get some more amounts. We'll see what happens. Tail of the Cat out of Bernardini Mare. I like the move over to the dirt. Glatt's got plenty of strong percentage. You can see it at the bottom of the forms of the PPs. So I used her. Why did she not make your ticket?
Not a fan of the layoff. Not a fan of the fact that the horse is slow. Those are my 2 issues.
What do you mean you don't like slow horses? And
generally when handicapping, I'm hoping for some speed. She was 10 lengths back of a 23-3 opening quarter mile. She was 7 lengths back, 49-1, and then quit. That's not usually a good sign going 6.5.
No.
Generally, you got to speed it up a little bit and then close. And she slowed it down a little bit and faded. So it's kind of the opposite of what I'm looking for when we're going for 6.5. However, I like this more than the 3 as well.
Second career start. You like it more than the 3. You just really hate the 3. You probably like the 10 more than the 3. Second career start, major jockey upgrade. I'm willing to forgive that issue at the beginning. The fact that she was only bet 93-1 tells me nobody, even her trainer or owners, had any confidence in her. But it is glad it's Rispoli. F it.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the Rispoli part is the most intriguing to me here, right? I mean, when we're at this low level, connections can be as important as anything else. So, like I said, I would take the 6 over the 3 as well. I'm just gonna keep knocking the 3. You done? You're not gonna take the 8?
Nope, that was
take the 8 over the 3. I wouldn't take the 10. I'd give you the 3 over the 10.
Jeez, the 7's bad, the 8's bad. The 8's got good connections, but the 8's a bad horse.
You are breaking a cardinal rule, though. You're using 6 of 10 horses. You're supposed to be hitting the all button there.
I said if you could hit if this is 50 cents, this would have been an all race for me. It's the dollar denomination. I had to cut it in half.
Get that knife out.
All right, that's going to wrap things up for the Magic Mike Show. Thanks for joining us, especially if you were live with us or watching replay on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope. Mike and I are going to give out our tickets one last time, especially to reward you folks who are watching the video. So just check down below. We have our tickets here. Remember, this is a $1 denomination with a 15% takeout. I'll go ahead and start things off, Mike. I'm going to go 5-9 with 3-5 with 2-7 with 2-3-4 5-6-9. That is a $48 ticket. man, I really wanted to try and go on that last leg. I just couldn't pull the trigger. But how about you? Where are your tickets?
I'm going to go 5-6 with 1-5 with 2-6-7-8 with 1-2-5-9 for $1. And you almost talked too much for me to be able to read my ticket.
I was trying to do that.
I saw you looking down and trying to mess me up. But that's just that 202nd episode, 212th episode mojo there that we've been doing this so long. I can just persevere through that.
We've got a few weeks still leading up to the Breeders' Cup. If you go to racenews.com, Jared put together this really great article that is the top 10 Breeders' Cup prep races from 2020. It's not just American races. He threw in some international ones. The replays are there. That's all it is. It's just 10 replays that we as a Racing Dudes team think that are really important for watching if you're going to be playing the Breeders' Cup. So go check that out. I know on Blinkers Off later this evening, they're going to be talking about those races plus other ones. So a very informative, helpful, insightful show. So make sure you tune into that one. This sequence, man. I keep thinking just how hard this last leg was, and if I can get through this last leg, it could pay $100 like it did when I hit it a few weeks ago. I would be happy with that at this point because this was such a difficult sequence to handicap.
Yeah, the only way this pays $100 is if it goes 5-5-2 or 5-5-2-2, right?
Yeah, 5-5-2-2.
It's the only way that it pays that low. I think you're going to get a decent payout here. I think you're going to beat at least 2 of these 4 favorites. I think it's a legit shot you beat all 4.
Perfect. Well, we talked about the fat quarterback thing. You brought that up beforehand. Let's talk a little bit about NFL. We got a little request from the comment section there. I wanted to talk about the NFL matchups. I know that your Miami Dolphins are the biggest favorite this entire week. Yeah, good luck. I saw you got the shirt on. Good job there. You've got the Browns at the Steelers, which how each of those teams has 4 wins at this point. I don't understand. Those are the 2 worst 4-win teams I've seen maybe ever. You got the Lions at the Jaguars. Speaking of teams that are bad, I don't know. There's a lot of bad matchups. What are you excited about besides your Dolphins?
Packers Bucks, I think, is a good matchup. That's an interesting one too from a spread perspective. It's a pick 'em with that game down in Tampa. I like the Packers quite a bit. Packers are currently getting written 5-1 ticket advantage, and the money's coming in on the Bucks. So I am against the sharp money there, but I am also higher on the Packers than I think most people are. I also don't believe in home field advantage this year. I'm factoring it as a half point, and most people are still factoring it as a 1.5. And you look at that line, you say, okay, would you take the Packers -1 in Green Bay? Yeah, every day,
Absolutely.
all day. And so that to me is one of those big things. Lions coming off the bye against the Jags, giving 3 to a team that's struggling is something I'm interested in. So I may actually swallow your Lions as a favorite. Matt Patricia, who's a very good first half coach and an atrocious second half coach. He actually has a very good record against the spread in the first half. I was surprised by that.
Yeah, that's the one time you play the Lions. If they're against a bad team like Jacksonville, play them in the first half.
Yeah. I think the Cowboys are really interesting too this Sunday. They're catching points against the Arizona Cardinals, who I think are an atrociously bad team, and it only looked good because they faced the Jets last time. If you look at their average yards per pass play and their YPP, both of those are lower half of the league, and their defense isn't exactly good. And the Cowboys still have a ton of weapons, and Andy Dalton was not atrocious when surrounded by weapons. That's the one thing. Like he never had anything but AJ Green, and still was able to make the playoffs against some pretty tough Steelers teams in that division. Mm-hmm. So I think it's definitely a downgrade from Dak to him, but I don't think it's as I think it was almost a 5-point swing in the look ahead line to this line, and that to me seems like it's a little bit much, especially if we can end up getting 3 there. So those are 3 of the fun games. Obviously, we got Chiefs Bills, which is going to be a big one for the Racing Dudes team. Jared's going to be very excited about that Chiefs game. Tough spot for the Bills, coming back from Tuesday night against a physical Titans team to a Monday game. It's a short week to face the Chiefs, especially not knowing who you were going to play and who to prepare for. It's just not a great spot for the Bills there, and they were without their all defensive player. White, I can't remember his first name. And they also were out their signal caller at the linebacker level, Milano. So both of them are out. It's going to be a long day for the Bills again on Monday.
I don't know about the Cardinals-Cowboys thing because one of my favorite things one of my favorite betting angles was if Andy Dalton or Kirk Cousins were going to be in primetime games, play against them completely. They could be in a situation where you're like, I agree, the Cardinals are so bad they lost to the Lions earlier this year. So you have the Cardinals going into Dallas, and I would make the argument that Dallas players the emotions are going to be very high because of what happened with Dak, and that's going to be a positive thing for them. But I really hate that it's the beige water pistol on primetime television. Like he wilts. I mean, like when he would be in the playoffs, if it was a 10 a.m. or a 1 p.m. game that they were starting at, great. Bengals, maybe they have I at least play them with the points, but you put them in it when he's the focus, man, there's just something about him. He just gets really scared.
Yeah, I mean, Cousins exercised those demons in Seattle last weekend. I think part of that too is with the fans there. I think that some quarterbacks struggled more in those primetime games. You have just that buzz that, and you do not have the fans here. I think that makes a big difference in that sense, where you don't have to deal with the crowd noise. You don't have to deal with the false starts. You don't have to deal with all of that kind of stuff. So for me, I think that moves into that spot. Yeah.
So he meant Sunday Night Football. He corrected himself, but yeah.
And that's one. Are they playing Sunday night? They're not playing this Sunday night. But he's traditionally been an absolutely atrocious. And he, I guess, is a routine guy, Cousins, where he has to be in his routine. If he gets out of his routine, he just turns to shit. So luckily he'll be back in his routine and facing a very bad Texans team, or no, not Texans, Falcons team, who just fired their head coach and is probably giving up on their season. So leaning Vikings -3.5 or 4 there as well, depending on what's your favorite spot to play. But it's going to be a fun weekend. This weekend, having the highest spread, it's actually now Patriots because it's on the board, giving 10 to the Broncos. But having the Dolphins up there 8.5, there's no one else over 8. Makes it a lot more interesting, where last week we had multiple big spreads and then some lower numbers.
Well, make sure you follow us on Twitter. I am at Curtis Calloward. He is at SummerBomb18. Number 8. Corporate War is at Racing_Dudes. Like I mentioned, Blinkers Off will be on later this afternoon/evening to talk about the top 10 Breeders' Cup prep races that you need to watch and pay attention to when you're handicapping for the World Championships. Until Monday, thank you so much for watching the Magic Mike Show. I'm Magic.
And I'm Mike.
We'll see you Monday.
Go Georgia State.
The Magic Mike Show, where you hear the experts speak. The Magic Mike Show. Tune into the show every week. The Magic Mike Show. You can trust the show is the bomb because it's being brought to you by RacingDudes.com.